am.
You better believe we are.
Here we go. Thursday,
Great Thursday, Gail.
August 26th, 2021.
Holy moly. Feels amazing.
It does feel amazing. It's a beautiful day here in Southwest Michigan. How about Huntley, Illinois?
Oh, it's going to be nice and humid here today. The mosquitoes are already out and it's almost the middle of the morning here, late morning.
Awesome. We got an exciting topic.
When is it never exciting?
Well, and we just chose this topic this week after our transformation method call on Monday. I said, can we please talk about this week? Because, it's hashtag in the comments, but patterns of focus. And
I was reluctant. I was really reluctant talking about this. This is really the gateway. This could really change and alter the course of many people's lives. But that's what we're here for, right?
So how many of you out there, are you ready for a gateway change? Are you ready for an expansion of where you are right now to where you want and desire to be? And it's really what we focus on. And I want to start out with this because you said something on Monday that I was just ruminating today. And it's like, we can't control our thoughts, but we can control how long and how we respond to those thoughts that come into our brains. So let's talk about it, Steve.
Yeah, well, let's start here. I want people to realize and understand, and if you're like most people, and if you're anything like me sometimes, and certainly, if we had this conversation 5, probably more 8 or 10 years ago, when you wake up in the morning, most of us don't even know what drives us, what's fueling us, what's producing a level of energy that's going to create productivity and a life by design throughout the day. Like that's first and foremost, because we wake up and research demonstrates that up to 95% of everything that we do and what we think about are the same things that we thought about and did yesterday. And that is really unconscious, subconscious, I use those words interchangeably, habit. And they're patterns, they're automatic. And it's not until we create a level of awareness to realize that the quality of our life, really, if you think about this, so sit back and just reflect on what this means to you, because nothing in life has any meaning other than the meaning that you give it. We just want to bring some clarity to that. Just have a real conversation, a real discussion about how can someone elevate and expand their state. And when they expand their state or elevate their state, they expand their energy. And life is energy. And I'm not talking about like spastic, like, oh yeah, whoa. I'm talking about just frequency. The level at which we produce a confidence and an esteem. And so that really does come down to what we call patterns of focus. So if up to 95% of everything that you do or think or behavior is up to, and I'm not saying it's everybody's 95%, but there's a high percent that's the same stuff we did yesterday. And that includes the patterns of which we live in. And you've heard me say, Gail, also, is that complexity is the enemy of execution. And so you have to ask yourself, how much of the information that you're taking in, because we're all information seekers, we're all trying to seek more content, more information, give me more things that I can, like you said, ruminate on and think about. That causes more confusion. That causes like fogginess and lack of action. But what we want to do is just create simplicity, because when you're in a complexity state, and I've experienced this, and so many of my clients have, what happens to our energy?
It goes down. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do first.
Energy goes like, woo. But when there's simplicity and clarity to things, our energy goes up. And when our energy goes up, we can start performing at a more peak state. And when we're at a peak state, our peak performance is going to skyrocket. And so I know this has been a great concept for you, Gail. Like this is like, you've heard us talk about this and discuss this in detail I think this is probably a half dozen opportunities,
Absolutely.
you know? And so where were you before the patterns of focus? And we'll get into that. Like there's 3 specific questions that we're going to talk about today, but where were you? What state were you in prior to really understanding, having awareness to the patterns in which we live in day by day?
Um, well, being a positive person that I am, but yet there was a lot of times I would always focus on the lack in my life. Like
Mm.
I was focused on what I wasn't doing, what was missing in my life. How could I do that better instead of focusing on what I was grateful for?
What are
And
they going to think about me if I do this or perform
right,
that or say this? Right.
yeah, and up until this time, it's like, Steve, oh, what was that third one? I know there's 3, and I could always get the what's missing and grateful, probably because that's the one that I was most had the most growth and expansion in. And the other 2 were, I was like, oh, what is it? What is it? Oh, I can't control. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
things that I can control and I can't control. And I think that's a huge one because we get caught up in the things like opinions of other people. I can't control the opinions of someone else on me. So why do I spend energy there? I can move my energy and move my attention. So
Yeah, because we still live in and again, we all do this, but we
I'm a
still,
recovering people pleaser. So see, I cared about what you thought of me way too much.
yep, yep. And I'm a recovering people pleaser and perfectionist. I always thought things had to be perfect before I took an action or did something or executed on a process. And I just realized that imperfect action is going to trump perfect inaction every time,
Mm-mm.
every time. So before we delve into the 3 patterns of focus, and thanks for sharing that, Gail, is I also want to bring up and mention the quality of our life. And everybody determines and interprets the quality of their life differently. And I truly believe that all of us, every one of us we have a commonality. We want to be better. We want to be happier. We want to be essentially healthier. We want all those things which equate to the quality of our life. So if I were to tell you that the quality of our life really comes down to the quality of the emotions that we experience most frequently, I'm not saying 100% of the time, like emotional, like I'm not happy 100% of the time.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
not joyful and, abundant 100% of the time, but knowing what I know and how I can alter that state by simply changing the quality of our question that we ask ourselves, that's the game. That's the gateway. That's the game changer. So if the quality of our life comes down to the quality of our emotions, I want to break them down into 3 things. And here's what I've sort of deciphered them and filtered them through. It's the quality of the relationships we have. It's the quality of our beliefs, and it's going to be the quality of the questions that we ask and answer ourselves, i.e. our thinking, the quality of our thinking. So the quality of our relationships, briefly, for example, it's the quality of our relationships with other people. Like maybe it's our coworkers, maybe it's our spouse, maybe it's our children. It's the interaction and energy we have, relationship we have with other people. But more importantly, which we don't realize, nobody ever thinks about this, is what's the quality of the relationship with yourself? The level of trust you have with yourself, the level of congruency you have with yourself. If you feel that you have to be somebody different in different environments and different groups, there's not congruency. We get confused. And that goes to being concerned about what other people think about us because we have to be somebody different in different groups. So
I used to, that just brought a visual to me. Like this was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I had all these hats. I had the real estate hat. I had the send out cards hat. I had the wife hat. I had the grandma hat. I had the all these different hats. Who am I today? I'm a coach. Hang on, I'm gonna put on this hat. And I actually have a card that people would send me with the different hats, and they were like, I was holding cards of holding cards of holding cards of all these hats that I was wearing. And I remember when I turned the corner and I just, I think it was when I bought that tank top that says, believe in yourself, just be you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I want for all of you listening to really think about for yourself. You can wear a lot of different hats. We live in a society and environment where we do a lot of things, but like Steve says, be congruent in everything that you do. Just be yourself. And I believe you'll have the success you're looking for.
Yeah, you'll attract that success. There's no question. And the operative word is be. Be yourself. You can have as many hats as you desire. Like, that's part of life. That's what life is about, is having different hats and representing different things within your sphere of life, in your proximities. Though, what sense does it make to be consistent in one area of your life, but inconsistent in another area? What greatness does it serve if you're going to be responsible in this group, but irresponsible with your health? So that's what I'm talking about when I say, what is the quality of the relationship with yourself? And congruency is, who are you choosing to be? And be it for everyone, including yourself. That's the transformation game versus the weight loss game. That's personal integrity, because we do everything for everybody else. We want to make sure we please everybody and we honor our word to everybody else, but we don't honor it to ourselves. But when your relationship is going to be optimal with yourself, and you're doing the things that you say you're going to do for yourself, and you're living in a state of congruency, or I'll say integrity, then the quality of your emotions are fantastic. Your state is different. And then when your state is elevated, thus is your energy. So we'll move on. Let's get into the questions, the patterns of focus, because these really do represent the quality of, as you had said earlier, sort of the quality of control that we have in our life. So the first question, or first pattern of focus, is when we're feeling a certain way, when we're feeling maybe a state or an emotion that doesn't serve us. Maybe it's anxiety, it's stress, it's fear, it's worry, it's lack. Here's where we want to condition you to start thinking and start asking questions. One of the first questions is, am I focused on what is missing in my life, or am I focused on what I'm grateful for in this moment? Because we talked about distinctions also in our conversations together, Gail. And we talked about how they're sort of this hidden level of thought that guide us and persuade us in a decision. So if your decision is coming from, or let me phrase this in a question. Are the decisions you make, are they coming from a place of fear, or are they coming from a place of possibilities? Think about that. If you're living in a state of, if I put this content together, or do this video, or do this live, like, gosh, I'm so fearful of what people are going to say about me. Or is your thought going to be, I'm going to put together this live and I'm going to go inspire somebody. Somebody out there needs to hear this. There's a possibility, a high probability, somebody needs to hear the struggle I'm going through right now. And that's how I want to go serve people, because I'm going to go share my story, my journey. You can think about it. Are you making decisions from fear or faith? Same thing. Are you coming from a place of what's missing in your life, or are you coming from a place of what you're grateful for and what you appreciate? That's the first pattern of focus. I mean, you can even go survival or opportunity. There's so many ways we can look at it, but think about the distinction. And part of my responsibility as a coach is to discover those distinctions. I take great pride in observing how people are speaking to themselves. Well, I got to do this. I have to do this. Well, instead of saying you got to do this, how about you get to do this? You don't got to go to the gym and go serve yourself with exercise, go exercise your right to exercise, but you get the opportunity to. I choose to serve my body with the right nutrition, the right foods, the whole foods that are going to nourish and heal and fuel my body. Those are distinctions. And those tie directly into the patterns of focus. And that one, from what you were saying, Gail, that one resonated with you the most, huh?
Well, they all do in their own right.
Yeah. So you want to go over the second pattern of focus?
The second pattern, it's what you can or can't. Are you focused on what you can control or what you can't control? And I mentioned, are you focused on what other people are going to think and say about you? You can't control that. And you know what? What you can control is your actions and your behavior of what you do. What are some other things, Steve, that people get caught up in that they can't control?
I think anything outside of them. I mean, you hear me say that we can control more than we think we do, but really we don't control as much as we think we do. So when I bring this concept up to people, and to me, it's so obvious. Like we've heard this, like this makes analytical sense. Can you control what's happening right now, or can you not control? Well, I can't control it. So then what's the intention of you being sad, you being emotionally distraught or angered or depressed about this circumstance or situation that you have not just some control over, but you have no control over it? One great example I like to use is the weather.
I was just thinking of the weather.
The weather, like people will look at the weather and they'll be like, geez, look at the rain coming down. Like that ruins my whole day. I mean, short of you planning some 50th birthday party outside and there's canopies or tents and things, like people get so worked up about the weather. My perspective on weather is when I see it's a cloudy day or a rainy day or a snowy day, my thought goes, you've heard me say it 100 times plus, is that a rainy day is no match for a sunny disposition. Without the cold, snowy, rainy days, we can't appreciate the nice sunny days. So it's all perspective. How do you interpret it? So I know I can't control the weather. So I don't put much energy or weight into how that's going to affect my emotion, because I want to live a great quality of life through the emotions I experience day in, day out. It's hour by hour, it's minute by minute. It could be second by second. I mean, there's 86,400 seconds in a day. Any one of those seconds, we can ask ourselves any of these questions and immediately change our state. Some people don't choose to do that. Mm-hmm. Some people will tell you, well, this is just the way it is. I can't change my thinking.
Another phrase that really helps when you're in that moment is, life happens for me, not to me.
Yep.
And, because when you started talking about the weather, I was thinking about, you're at the lake, you've invited, people over, and you just hope that the weather's going to hold out and be great. But you also, in the back of your mind, think, okay, well, what if it isn't? Like there are I'm already moving my attention to the what ifs, because I'm not going to allow myself to be down in misery and frustration because of something I can't control. So I'm already going to move to something else that we can do just in case the weather doesn't show up. And I think it's a great concept for us to and future that we're going to talk about the next pattern of focus. And when you're thinking, forward thinking and controlling your thoughts, we can't control what happens, but we can control how we feel, act, and think about something.
How we respond to what happens to us.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So we can't control what happens to us, though we certainly have control of how we respond and how we react to what happens to us. And before we move on to the third pattern of focus, this is really important. I actually created an audio for this because people tend to worry a lot. And worry is such a prevalent emotion in so many people that are worried about what the future is going to hold. And let's just say it's the weather. Let's say the weatherman, let's say the meteorologists predict that there's going to be a 60% chance of rain coming this afternoon, but it's your son's 5th birthday party and you have 30 kids coming over and you have a bouncy house out there. You have tents set up, you have a barbecue. I know because I experienced this. When it was my son's 5th birthday, I believe it was his 5th birthday party, but we had a couple dozen kids coming over to celebrate his birthday. And yes, it was outdoors. It was April. And in April, we tend to get some rain. And so we had everything set up. And what happens with worry is this, and I don't want to get too much into the story because I want to make sure we get to this third pattern of focus, is when you start worrying, think about the last moment you worried. It almost took your breath away. Your heart almost stopped. You're like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? What we do psychologically is we put ourselves through a state of emotions of an event that hasn't even happened yet. And most of the things, when you really think about it, never turn out as bad as you think they do, but you had to live through it emotionally to the 10th degree when it always turns out okay. It always turns out the way it was intended. So stop worrying about things that haven't even happened yet and move your emotion, your state from lack, move it to abundance, move it from worry and move it to being optimistic. And just watch the quality of your life change. Is it always going to work out? No. But when you're prepared and when that cloudy day is no match for your sunny disposition, life just happens for you at an exponential rate. It's amazing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So third pattern of focus, which sort of almost ties in nicely to what we're just talking about, but are you focused on the past, the present, or the future? And so really think about that. When you're in a state of an emotion that's not serving you, where is your attention?
In the rearview mirror or in the windshield?
That's the reason why in cars, the rear view mirror is so small. It's a small mirror because it's designed to see or to watch everything go by you. Like the past is the past. It's history. But the windshield is massive. It's a clear window for what your future is holding. So put your attention to what the future is. And that's one of the biggest takeaways from here is you can think about the past all you like. As a matter of fact, one of the takeaways that we were talking about in our conversation was if you learn to use the past to extract lessons, like you're taking lessons from it, you know that hurt, you know that was painful, you know what lessons you're taking away from it, and you're using very little of your time in the past and very little of your energy in the past, but you're putting it to either the present, because the present is where you're going to be fulfilled. Like I want to live in the present as much as I can for myself, for my kids, for my family, for my friends, for my promise keepers. I want to live in the present here because that fulfills me. That gives me an opportunity to grow, develop, expand, explore more of who I am. And then that's contagious for everybody around me. And then the future is really so that you can focus on the anticipation of what life is going to hand you and what you're creating and what you're desiring more of, learning to navigate through those 3 areas of life, the past, the present, and the future. So the 3 patterns of focus. You're ever in a thought that just isn't, or we'll call it an emotion. Like the thought's going to derive the emotion. Like our thoughts produce emotions. Our emotions are going to produce the actions that we take. And again, if you have emotions of anger, frustration, depression, fear, anxiety, lack, your energy is not that great. And when your energy is not at a peak level, we don't make great decisions. Sometimes we don't make a decision at all. Our behavior is null. It's nullified. And then when we can expand that emotion and bring it to a place of abundance and joy and happiness and ecstasy and appreciation and gratitude, we take greater actions to things. So everybody's going to say, well, just do it. You know what you need to do, but you're not doing what you know. What if we just took a step back? And it's not even the emotions. Like, what are you experiencing right now emotionally? Gosh, well, how about this? What thoughts are you having right now? Well, I'm just thinking about, why is this traffic holding me back from being on time to work? Why am I so angry? Why am I so frustrated? Well, those are all thoughts. Instead, look at it as opportunity. What did I miss here? How can I be better? How could I be on time? How can I leave 10 minutes early from work in the event there's traffic coming? So 3 patterns of focus. Am I focused on what's missing in my life or what I'm grateful for? Am I focused on what I can control or what I can't control? And am I focused on the past, the present, or the future?
And everything is a choice.
Everything's a choice. And if you don't believe that, take an honest look at your life right now. If there's something that's not serving you in your environment, then it's not going to come down to your behaviors. It's not coming to your skills. It's not going to be even your beliefs. It's going to be your identity. And your identity is a choice. Although you likely been indoctrinated with it from when you were a child, but you still have to bring awareness to what level of identity you want to live in. Did we talk about that logical level? I don't think.
Might be something coming up for you.
Okay. Yeah. I don't believe we did, because I probably would have drawn it out.
Yeah. The logical level is another one of those that really has captivated me and brings all of what we learn in the transformation method together from, it's exciting. So maybe that'll be next, because, echo is part of the logical level. So is be, do, have. I believe we talked about those.
Yes.
So your identity is so important. We're kind of out of time, but I'm going to leave you with I'm going to leave you with this question to just ponder, because, and reach out, comment on this video if you care to. What pattern of focus what should I focus on right now? And honestly, Steve went over it. Ask yourself the questions about how you're feeling emotionally, and look at the patterns of focus, and you'll know where you're at and where you need to put the most attention and effort. And please reach out if you have further questions. That's why we're here. We're here to be of value and serve you and help you to live your best life.
And if you desire more clarity, just look at the show notes.
That's right. Show notes are coming.
Show notes will be there. So I appreciate the time and attention. And to back what Gail said, we are here to serve. We're here to help. Information's everywhere. Information's a commodity. You can go anywhere and find anything, anywhere. I truly want to come from a place to provoke you to apply this information. Application is going to be more powerful than just the information in itself. So that's where I stand. I'm putting my flag in it, and I bid you adieu until the next episode.
All right. If you're ready to take on the day, what do you say, Steve?
If you're ready to go, say, let's go.
Let's go.